What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. All right, guys, man, this is some sad news, man, for you wrestling fans out there. And it's about this guy right here. Now, at his age, you probably won't recognize who he is, but if I put this picture up over here, you will notice that this is former WWE star Billy Jack Haynes from the 80s and 90s. And this dude right here has been wrestling for a while. He was one of the iconic figures back in the day, and it was mixed reviews whether you liked him or not. But there's one thing about this guy. He always had his yellow and green on, and he was repping Oregon to the max. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This story here, speaking of Oregon, is out of Portland, Oregon. Shout out Oregon. And this man who's contributed so much to wrestling history is now behind bars for supposedly shooting and killing his wife and having police at bay in a 2-hour standoff at 70 plus years old. Take a look at this video and we'll come back and talk about it. It's a sad, sad thing.
Portland, Oregon, weighing 246 pounds, Billy Jack Haynes.
He was an old Portland wrestler.
Born and raised in Portland, Oregon, had a really colorful life.
Steve Audrey remembers his neighbor as larger than life. The man known to millions in the 80s as a wrestling star, Billy Jack Haynes.
One of the gentlemen is going to produce many thrills for you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen in Seattle.
After retirement, Haynes has settled down in Portland's Lents neighborhood. He and his wife, Janet Beauchamp, became known to their neighbors as Billy and Jan, a friendly couple with kind souls.
Yeah, he told me, come on by anytime, Steve. We'll sit down, have a beer, and, he's just your average Joe guy to me, But one of my favorite heroes when I was a kid.
That's why Steve couldn't believe what happened on Thursday, when police swarmed the streets around Haynes' home, locked in a standoff with the former icon after investigators say he shot and killed his wife. The now 70-year-old Haynes refused to surrender for hours, but ultimately gave himself up.
It appears to be that my elder neighbor killed his wife.
Breland Matthews says she grew to love the couple, her next-door neighbors, often taking care of 85-year-old Janet, who she says was struggling with dementia.
It's like literally a couple days ago, I was staying with her for a few days while he was in the hospital.
Matthews says Haynes was recently in the hospital because of a fall, suffering broken ribs. This past week, she says he suddenly checked out to be with his wife.
He said he came home because he couldn't stand being away from her.
Sweetheart of a guy.
Then Thursday, police found Janet dead from a single gunshot wound, and friends couldn't believe it, especially Audrey, who admired Haynes' career and stardom.
Unfortunately, he got hurt, and otherwise he'd have probably been really as famous as Hulk Hogan.
Those injuries Haynes suffered in the ring led to national headlines a decade ago when he led a class-action lawsuit with 50 former wrestlers against the WWE, claiming the organization failed to protect them against repeated head injuries, leading to long-term brain damage.
Fast here, look at that, wow.
The lawsuit alleging multiple concussions led to problems with his health later in life, including depression. The case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which refused to hear it in 2021, and it was dismissed. Now in the community Haynes spent years building connections within, many questions remain.
A great community around here, a lot of veterans that are, and my dad's a vet as well, and so was Billy. And I did love him dearly, and we loved Jen as well, so yeah. But yeah, this, like I said, it's a tragedy all around. So.
Police say Haynes is currently in the hospital being treated for a medical condition unrelated to the shooting. They say when he is released, he is expected to be booked into jail, and they'll share what the former WWE superstar is officially being charged with. Reporting live from the Lents neighborhood, I'm Jeffrey Lindblom for Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, guys, that's the sad news out of Portland, Oregon. Now, the story goes as this, and it's a small thing up here. It says officers found a man. Well, it says police officers in Portland, Oregon responded to reports of a shooting inside a house in Southeast 100th Avenue near Southeast Yukon Street just before 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, February 9th. Officers found a man inside the property who was being uncooperative. The surrounding neighborhood was put on a shelter-in-place order. Police said the man was detained around 2 hours later in the standoff they found a woman believed to be his wife dead when they entered the home. Now it said he was in the hospital, guys, and he checked out to go check on his wife, who the lady was staying with because she has dementia. So the man cared about his wife. Now, what caused him to do what he did, nobody knows. But just like wrestling, there are a lot of head injuries like the NFL and boxing, as a matter of fact. And this stuff needs to be taken seriously. Now, you seen the guy that looked like Uncle Sam, no disrespect. He said kind words about Billy Jack Haynes. Now, he said he was an idol. Back in the day, in the hood, when we was watching wrestling, we liked Billy Jack Haynes because he had a nice physique. He was a diesel dude. And we could never understand why he was never a champion or why he was never one of the guys that really, got the publicity that he should have got. But I think, back in the day when Vince messed up the WWE or WWF as it was called back then, he had, certain people he liked and certain people he didn't like. Billy Jack Haynes, from what I know, from what I've seen of his personality and what I've heard about him, he was a stand-up guy, and a lot of people respected him in the league. I mean, in the WWF and, in life. And some people ain't with all that goofy stuff Vince McMahon was doing at that time. And they, they were still attractions. So they just played their part. But think about it. This man is in his 70s, had his wife, survived all of that fame, and to have it end like this, where he took his wife's life, and we don't know what this is about. It's very sad. I mean, it's heartbreaking. The man took care of her, got out of the hospital early because he had a fall and broke his ribs. And all he was doing was thinking about his wife, and he came home and he took her life. Nobody can probably ever know. And I hope they don't make that public, man, because I got a lot of respect for this guy. I got a lot of respect for him. He did his job and then faded off into the sunset. You see, they said he had a class action lawsuit with a bunch of other wrestlers, and they threw it out. Talking about say he had multiple concussions and all that stuff. Because you remember back in the day, wrestling used to be savage. They'd be bleeding on there and everything else, and they stopped that. Now it's more cartoonish. I can't watch it. I don't even know who's wrestling and who's not nowadays. But I mean, this whole thing, man, is heartbreaking. I mean, for him to go through his whole life, and that's the thing the message I'm going to get out to you, especially a lot of these young people that watch me. You never know where you'll be tomorrow or the week after. You got to live your life one day at a time and accomplish small goals as you go along in your journey through said life. I see stories like this, and this can be anybody. And that's what makes it sad to me. It ain't like he did something idiotic or something. The man wanted to go home to be with his wife, even though he was injured, and it was better for him to stay in the hospital. He checked himself out because he felt as though nobody could take care of his wife the way he did. And for this to happen, I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But I mean, shout out Billy Jack Haynes, man. He was a good wrestler. He was a stand-up dude. He had good character. And that might have cost him, things in life as far as his profession. But he kept it real. So I ain't got no complaints with it. I just wish this had ended a little bit different, with her death being more natural. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. May his wife rest in peace.